Hi folks, thanks to be here for this talk about keeping your developer CV up to date. I'm Nicolas Fränkel. I've held multiple positions on project, developers to start with, probably everybody, team lead, solution architect, and since a couple of years I have become a developer advocate. So the problem today that I want to talk about is you're a developer, most probably, or at least in technology, and you are young, you are eager to build up your career, and you don't want to become a manager, so you want to stay in tech. How do you do that? Well, the first thing is, which company are you aiming for? My experience can be summed up in this magic quadrant. On one side, you have the global companies, the companies that hire worldwide, and on the other side, there are the local companies, the companies that hire in your village or in your city or perhaps in your country. If you want to build up your career, I encourage you to go for the global one, because if you stay in your village, probably they have less money than the worldwide companies. Another axis of analysis is whether IT or software or DevOps or whatever is the core business or is just a support function. If it's a support function, well, the business doesn't care a lot since it's just support. And again, money might not be that interesting, or at least career options might be less interesting. However, if IT is the core business, then basically you have a strong voice in the company. So the magic quadrant is global company whose core business is IT. And there is this saying that your GitHub profile is your CV in this kind of companies, or at least when you want to get hired, they will probably look at your GitHub profile. I have no proofs to back up this claim. This is not my idea, but I think it's still very widespread. And even if only 50% of these companies, they look at your GitHub CV, well, you probably don't want to have this kind of impression, because then you are a developer, but you don't produce any code, so what the hell? And of course, you and me know that it might not be as easy as you don't code. Might be one obvious reason might be your project is not public, or your project is not open source, or you are not on GitHub. I have part of my work that is on GitLab, so GitLab doesn't work. Or perhaps, well, in addition to everything, you don't want to work over the weekend because you have a social life, or you have a family, or I don't know why you like nature and you like to go outside. So you don't have to spend all your time working on open source visible product, and that is okay. For example, at one point, I worked for a company called Hazelcast, and I had a lot of contributions that were not visible because, well, the repositories were private, so I couldn't show my work to the outside world, and I did a lot of work, but nobody cared about it. However, I'm sure that most of you have something to show, and even if it's not completely related to lines of code. For example, you might have a blog, or you might do talks like I'm doing at the moment. If you're a designer, probably you have a portfolio somewhere, either on your own website or on Instagram, or perhaps you help the whole world on Stack Overflow. I don't know, but you actually do a lot. Something that is not on GitHub, you do a lot outside. Comes GitHub and the magic repo name. So you can actually display what you want in a specific README in this specific repo. And the README, be careful, there is no actually any constraint. It doesn't need to be marked down. For example, I'm using an ASCII Doctor one. You can use HTML, you can use whatever structure you fancy. But the idea is on github.com/yourname or profile, you can create a dedicated README that will be shown when people go to github.com/yourprofile. That is very, very interesting. Here, let me show you a couple of samples that could be interesting for you. For example, you are quite straightforward. You just display the CV, but on GitHub, which is already something that is a bit above just showing an empty commit history. At least you can show that you have education, that you have some work experience, or whatever. But you can be a bit more creative because it's GitHub, it's not a regular CV. You can have some additional links. Say, hello, I am this person and this is what I'm doing. You can be actually a bit more involved. You can say, hey, listen to some music. This is quite cool, right? Or you can have a list of links and links to something that showcase what you are doing. That could also be something interesting for people. Even better, you can actually code something. So this one, I don't know if it still exists, but actually when I last visited, you could interact with the profile by playing chess, and in order to move some pieces, you would actually have to send a PR for the next piece to move. And that shows a lot. So even if you have no contributions, everything is in a private repository, this is really, really great. Actually, somebody even compiled a list of all the awesome GitHub profiles you can find on GitHub, and probably you can add your own, I don't know, but this, if you have no idea, if you are not a creative person, and believe me, I'm not, then you can find a lot of ideas there. So here is what I did. I wanted the following, because as I mentioned, I don't have a huge GitHub history. Now in the latest years, I've worked on Apache API 6, which is an Apache project. So it has beefed up, but still I wanted to have my own stuff to showcase my work. And I have a blog post that a blog that I run since like more than 15 years probably. I do a lot of conferences, so I wanted to showcase my latest blog posts, my next free conference talk so that people could actually visit me, and my latest recorded available video. Everything is available through an API, so I have the YouTube API, I have the GitLab API because my blog is hosted on GitLab, and I have some RSS also on my blog, so I can find all this information. And here is the most important stuff. The tech stack is not important. At the beginning, I wanted to teach myself Kotlin scripting. So Kotlin is a JVM-based language, which is compiled just like regular Java, but they made a scripting way approach of it. So I said, okay, I will teach myself Kotlin scripting. So I was using all the regular APIs and libraries that I was used to. That was really, really nice, up until the point that I understood that Kotlin is not great for scripting at all. And also I did the code in the same repo that I was actually updating, which was not the way to do. So I changed everything, and now my code is actually up in Python. And I taught myself Jinja and Request and PyYAML. And I'm still using GitHub Actions, basically. So there is something that runs daily. You can run more frequently depending on whatever structures fancies. what it is doing is very easy. I do the checkout of the repo, I install the dependency, I execute the script gets the data through the APIs, it fills a template, it commits, and it pushes. And that's all that I have to do. So let me show you the code, or perhaps not the code because I don't want to bore you with details, but at least the workflow. So here the workflow is quite simple. It's exactly what I told you. I check out the repo, which is the updater. I have two repos. The first one actually has the code to do the work, and the second repo is where is the README. So it allows me to decouple the work itself from the output of the code. And that's what I mentioned in the first, when I was Kotlin scripting, I only had one repo. So I updated my dependency. At the same time, I pushed the README, which was really useless. So I do two checkouts of the two repos. The first one is the updater. The second is the own. The only slight hurdle is that you need to allow on your repository where you will be updating the README, you need to create a GitHub token, otherwise it won't work. Then, because I'm using Python, as I mentioned, I'm using Poetry, then I run actually the scripts, I commit and I push, and that's all. This is how it looks like. I have this update, GitHub profile, blah, blah, blah. And at some point it doesn't work because the reason is because I wanted to play with a Raspberry Pi. So basically the GitHub Actions run on a Raspberry Pi, and sometimes it's down, so it doesn't work that well. But in any case, if the script doesn't run, I still have the README. It's just not updated from yesterday. It will be updated from 2 days ago, which is perfectly fine. So here is how it looks when it works. That's amazing. This is everything that is executed. And the result is pretty amazing, I believe. But I'm not a designer, so if you have ideas to improve the design, I will be happy. That I have this readme.doc. So this is my bio that is taken from GitLab. This is the recent blog posts that are taken from the RSS, the upcoming talks. This is also from GitLab, and the latest video recording that is from the YouTube API. And that gives me perhaps enough credentials so that people looking at my resume, even if my GitHub contribution are not that bad anymore, then perhaps it can give an additional incentive for people to have a good opinion of my work. So thanks a lot for your attention. You can follow me on Twitter, or even if it's dead, you can follow me on Mastodon or on Blue Sky. And if you're interested in what I've shown you, it's nfrankel. If you're interested in the code, is nfrankel/nfrankel updates. Here I have updated it, so you can also look at the code if you are interested. Again, use the stack that you are most familiar with. So I hope this talk gave you ideas on how to improve your profile, how to make yourself more desirable on the job market, even if you don't have a huge commit history. Thanks a lot again, and have a good day.